Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jacob here, broker with Keller Williams Energy Real Estate and team leader of Asperian & Company. And on today's vlog, we're going to be reviewing the market update numbers for Durham Region as of January 2020. Now, when we take a look at the total number of listings that came to market in Durham Region last month, we saw a reduction of 20% from a year ago. That's pretty drastic. 1/5 of the inventory we saw 12 months ago completely disappeared. So we saw 944. Now, when you look at the breakdown from city to city, Clarington actually had the biggest decrease in listings, almost a 30% decrease in the number of listings that came to market from a year ago. And Pickering was only at -8, but still, every city around Durham Region has noticed less listings than they had a year ago. Now, when we move things over and take a look at the actual sales, Durham Region had an increase of 15% from this time last year. 565 homes sold in January of 2020. Now, when we look at it on a city-to-city basis, Clarington's actually the only one that is less sales this year than they did a year ago. They're 12% down from last year. And then Pickering and Whitby both lead the way with 30% more sales than the same period a year ago. Guys, when you look at the total number of listings and then you look at the total number of sales, there's such a huge discrepancy. You know that you're going to actually see property values jump up because it's simple supply and demand. It's economics. We have not as much of something, the supply, but the demand for it is increasing. So that's going to bring the property values up. And that's exactly what we see happen here. In January 2020, the average sales price in Durham Region was $655,000. That's almost 14% more than the same period a year ago. Now, when we look at it on a city by city basis, every single region or every single city saw an increase. Ajax had the smallest increase of 9%, and Whitby led the way with a 17% increase year over year. All right, guys, so we talked about our listings, we talked about sales, the average sales price. What does this all mean moving forward? I can tell you what's going to happen. I can tell you that we're going to see a crazy run up. You're going to see prices get away from us, and then something's going to happen, whether it's going to be government intervention or the market's just going to exhaust itself, and you're going to see a pullback. You can see a pop. You're going to be able to see something's going to deflate in the average values. I can tell you that's going to happen, but what I can't tell you is how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen. You can't time the market, all right? It's cyclical. But what you're going to notice is property values are going to go up. Something's going to happen where it's going to correct itself. It's going to come down. The baseline is going to be higher than the previous baseline. And you kind of chug along and things go back up. And you're going to see that play out over and over and over again. So everyone keeps telling me that, hey, this is feeling like 2016, 2017 levels. And it's true. We are seeing similarities in that market, but it's a little bit different. I'll explain why. In 2017, we had 595 homes sell in Durham Region. And in 2020, we had 586. So we're actually fairly close levels to that market. However, when you look at inventory in 2017, we only had 735 homes listed. This month, we had 944. So we've actually hit the number of listings that we saw in 2018 for listings, but we saw 2017 levels of sales. So it's a little bit of a mini 2017 market. How it's going to move forward, I have no idea. It's important to really be keeping a close eye on it. But I really just recommend you doing things based on what your goals are in real estate. If you're comfortable and ready to buy real estate, you should be focusing on that. Don't try and time it. Don't try and time that, okay, this month is going to be busier than the next one, because that's just going to give you analysis paralysis. Nothing could be further from the truth. There's no predicting it. I can't tell you what's going to happen in the next few months. However, over the next 5-10 years, I can tell you right now that Durham Region is an amazing place to be buying a house, to be living, and to raise a family, because we're going to see some crazy growths over the next decade. We are busy and we are growing because of our proximity to Toronto and the GTA. All right. Toronto is a world-class city. It's a multicultural melting pot. And the two biggest growth factors for any real estate market is it's population growth and employment growth. Employment is extremely strong in Toronto and surrounding areas, and population growth is also extremely strong. We've got 70 to 75,000 landed immigrants every year coming to Toronto. Now, when they're ready to buy homes, Toronto's too overvalued. Then you look at the surrounding areas, the west, north of GTA, you've got, Mississauga, Peel, York. But then when you look at Durham Region, there's a huge, value, a lot of bang for buck available compared to what other areas are seeing. So people are noticing, oh, wow, my dollar goes a lot further in Durham Region than any other areas. In addition to that, You've got a lot of investments being put in this way. You've got Metrolinx expansion just got launched or announced yesterday. It's been in the works for a while, but now it's very promising to see this happening. I'll be doing a video about that soon. You got the 407. So it's easier for people to work in Toronto and commute all the way to Bowmanville now. And now 407 is even going past that. So it's going to connect us to the city core a lot more. And that's just only, in essence, going to help us increase more people wanting to move here. What's going to happen with property values? I don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 months, 6 months, a year. But what I can tell you is that over the next 5-10 years, property values are going to be a lot more than they are right now. And one of the main reasons I don't think is talked enough about is the fact that real estate is a store of value. So last month I talked about how home ownership is a great way to passively invest in real estate, but we didn't dig deeper into what real estate actually does. So as a store of value, real estate fights inflation. So our government always tries to hit an inflation rate of 2 to 3%. So that means that if you have $100 in the bank account today, in a year's time, it should be worth $98 to $97. That's what the government's actually trying to attain. And this is all governments around the world trying to maintain their inflation. So what inflation does is it lowers your buying power. So when we look back 10 years, coffee was, it was a lot cheaper to buy coffee. And that's just because the cost of goods continues to go higher, as well as the fact that your buying power with that $1 that you had in the bank account 10 years ago is worth a lot less. So real estate allows people to fight that. It fights inflation, and it's a nice store of value to passively kind of fight off the diminishing return of your dollars. Also keep in mind that real estate is always going to continuously get more expensive in areas that have high demand, because it's never going to get cheaper to build real estate. So a builder right now has to buy land. Land is getting more expensive because it's a finite amount. They're not going to be able to find more land out there. So either they've land banked and held on to it and ridden through the property cycles, and the land is worth more now anyways. But if you're just buying brand new, you're paying current land values. In addition to that, connection fees, permit fees, all these things are getting more expensive. City of Oshawa, the permit applications got more expensive, 3%. Okay, it's just they're going to keep continuously every year they add 3% to the fees. So they're going to also, all the other fees are going to continuously get more expensive. Then you've got to talk about the actual building materials. Lumber is getting more expensive. Roofing material is going to get more expensive. Windows, insulation, all these things that the builders need to build the homes are getting more expensive. And in addition to that, labor costs are getting more expensive. And labor costs, unfortunately, are never able to really keep up with all the other expenses around us. But everything else is getting more expensive. So to think that real estate is the one thing that's never going to get more expensive, you're lying to yourself, okay? So when you zoom out and you look at a much grander scale and a lot more long-term scale of what you should be with real estate, you'll see why it's going to continuously get more expensive. And guys, Durham Region is going to be a different world in the next 5-10 years. All right, it's going to be really just a different, it's going to really surprise people how fast and how crazy the growth is going to be with what we have kind of coming through the pipeline. Moving forward, we're going to be talking about all the different ways you can invest in real estate, from house hacking to duplexes, triplexes, and all that kind of stuff. But please never hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. As always, thank you so much for watching, you guys. If there's anything you need on my end, please never hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much for watching. We'll talk soon. Have a good one.